My name is Kaylee Ann Russell. The purpose of today's experiment is to prove that the object behind me is responsible for at least 45 deaths in the 4 centuries of its recorded existence.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2013 horror film Oculus. A film that is co-written and directed by Mike Flanagan, and it stars Karen Gillan, Brendan Thwaites, Katie Sackhoff and Ray Cochran. Now this film focuses on Karen Gillan's and Brendan Thwaites' characters. They are brother and sister. Now Brendan Thwaites' character has been under therapy for a number of years for an incident that happened when he was a child in his house with his sister, and essentially their parents were murdered and he was implicated in that murder, so he's been in care ever since, receiving therapy. But in actual fact, it's all connected to like this haunted mirror that was directly linked to these incidents when they were children. And Karen Gillan has managed to track down this mirror as adults, and they both come together in order to try and put to rest their past incidents and confront the spirits within the mirror. Right. Oculus. Well, this is a film that, believe it or not, I've never seen before. I've had this film in my collection for a while now, probably a couple of years if I'm honest. I'm not 100% when. And it's a film I've been aware of longer than that. Now, what really pushed me to watch this film was Mike Flanagan. Now, Mike Flanagan, for those of you who don't know, is the very talented writer-director who was responsible for the Netflix shows Haunting of Hill House, Bly Manor, and the best of the lot, in my opinion, Midnight Mass. So I wanted to check this film out, mainly because of Mike Flanagan, but I also knew it had a really good reputation, this film. And I have to say, I wasn't disappointed at all with this film. It was very slick, very nicely put together, with very good performances, and with some genuinely creepy and frightening moments scattered throughout. It was very Mike Flanagan, I suppose. Like I say, it was very polished. He's almost like the I don't know. He's like this really slick director who just kind of breezes through like horror material. He's probably one of those directors who can literally do anything, but he's just kind of really skilled in this genre. He really knows how to frame a scene in order to make it really tense. And I think this film is really good at that, and the way that this film juggles between the two time periods. So the film focuses heavily on both time periods, when this brother and sister were children, and the incidents that happen in their house between their mother and father and this mirror, and also them as adults going back to their family home with this mirror that she's managed to track down. And essentially she works as like for this like antiques firm. So she's tracked it down and someone's bought it, but she's transported it to this house in order for them to kind of come good on a childhood promise that they made to each other. Now Brendan Thwaites' character is like the non-believer here, because he spent so many years in therapy convincing himself that what happened when they were children wasn't real. So he's in a different time mindset than his sister, played by Karen Gillan. She is fully committed as to what this mirror is, what it's capable of, and she's got all these things set up in this house when they're adults to kind of counteract anything that this mirror can throw at them, because it kind of messes with you in regards to your mind, and you're not sure what time period you're in and where you are. So she set like alarms all over the place in order to ensure that she knows when to eat, when to drink, when to do certain things, when to set a clock, all this kind of stuff. And she thinks she's outthought this mirror and what have you, but in actual fact they really haven't. It's, you know, this malevolent spirit or spirits within this mirror has been outwitting people for a long time. So I really liked how it jumps between the time periods. I don't normally like films that can do lots of flashbacks and things, but it's done very organically in this film, and it really works. And for me, that was the real strongest point. And then the last half an hour is like at breakneck speed in regards to, it's not like flashing back and forward for like the audience members. It's like it blends it together. And by that I mean when they're actually in this house and this mirror starts getting the upper hand on them and things, they literally start seeing themselves as children there, reliving the same moments when they were children, and everything kind of melts together and they don't know what's what. They don't know whether they're children, whether they're adults. And it messes with your mind as an audience member. But it's done not in an overly confusing way. There are a couple of moments where you're kind of like, what's going on? But it never really cranks that up. It always kind of leaves this door open for you to kind of figure out what's what kind of thing. And while some people might have an issue with the ending, I thought the ending was kind of perfect, if I'm honest. It might not have been the ending that you want, but for me, horror films, generally speaking, shouldn't really be about happy endings. They should be about, taking risks. And I think this film took risks in a lot of ways. And I just thought it was really engaging with some really, really fantastic performances from both the kids and the adults, both time periods. But Katie Sackhoff was excellent as well, as Ray Cochran as the mother and the father when they were kids. They were both really, really excellent. So it's a film that, for me, ticked a lot of boxes in regards to a really good horror that doesn't give you cheap, unnecessary jump scares. It just knows when to rank up the tension, when to confuse you, and when to really get what it wants. And is intelligent enough to know what it wants to give you, and it gives you at the right moments in this film. So I really, really enjoyed this film. I thought it was superbly put together by a very, very talented director. And I'm really glad I saw this film. So I'm going to give this one a strong 8 out of 10. Definitely worth checking out if you've never seen Oculus. For me, I'm really glad I have now, and I'm glad I've got it in my collection, and it's a film I will certainly be revisiting. So I hope you enjoyed this review. I hope you found it useful. I'll be back with plenty more reviews and content on the channel very, very soon.